I'm Jordan, and for quite a while, I've wanted to share my experiences in Spain with you. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the things that I really like about Spain. This will be the video about pros. Later on, I can do another video with the cons, some of the things that I don't like so much about Spain. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So I come from Baltimore, Maryland. I came to Spain in 2016 to teach English in Spanish public schools. And I will go ahead and I will put a link to that program in the description in case that interests anyone to come to Spain through that program. So basically, it was something very random for me. A friend from university found out about this program and entered. And when he was here, he said, "Wow, I think you would really like it here, Jordan." So I took his advice, and 2 years later, I joined him here in Spain, and this is where I've been ever since. The program is a great way to see if you like Spain. There are no strings attached. If you were to come through this program and you decide after a month, I don't like it here, you can go back home and you don't have to return any money or anything of that sort. When I started in Madrid. And I was given a school that was outside of Madrid city center, and they paid me 1,000 euros a month to teach 12 hours. It's not bad. It's not bad. 1,000 euros a month in dollars shakes out to, I don't know, let's say around $1,200 a month, which doesn't sound like very much. But we'll get to the cost of living in Spain. One of the things that I love about Spain is the weather. Coming from Baltimore, the weather in Spain is great. One thing I love about it is on most days you walk outside and it's a big blue sky, few clouds. Even in winter, you can still find nice, beautiful days. It might be a little cold, but the sun is always on your skin for the most part. It also depends on where you are, obviously. Here in Madrid, winter, you can see some rainy days and some cloudy days, but compared to Baltimore, it's nothing. Also, you're not going to see much snow here unless you're in the north of Spain. And when it does snow, Spanish people get very excited to see it because it's so rare. If you're in the south of Spain, you're not going to see snow so often, if at all, unless, once again, you're on the mountain. One thing that I think it really sticks with me about Spain, and I'm sure that I'll miss it if I ever leave this place, is what I call paprika sunsets. This sounds strange. For me, paprika is the taste that reminds me the most of Spain because you will find paprika in a lot of Spanish recipes. And the color that it leaves on a chorizo or in anything cooked is a slightly yellowish orange color, even to red. And some of the most beautiful sunsets I've seen are in Spain. And to watch the sunset and you see this beautiful orangish yellow color in the sky and spread through the clouds, to me it just felt like, it's a paprika sunset. So, prices. Spain is pretty cheap compared to most places in the States. But we also have to consider that in America, we earn a lot more money, but things are a lot more expensive. So when you come to Spain with American money, your money long. You have a lot to spend because you're used to having more money, and things are a lot cheaper here. For example, you get a liter bottle of water. How much would that cost you in your state? You know, you go to a 7-Eleven or a Wawa or whatever you have, that liter of water probably is going to cost you nothing less than $2, right? Well, here you can go to the convenience stores, the corner stores, which are called chinos, because most of them are owned by Chinese people. Uh, you could get that bottle of water for maybe 80 cents or less. It's very cheap, very cheap. Also, apartments. You can find some pricey apartments in Madrid because it is the capital, but other regions of Spain, especially in the south, you can find much cheaper, much more inexpensive rent prices. For example, before I came to Spain, I was living on the edge of Baltimore City, Not really the best area, but it wasn't terrible. And I was paying $780 for a one-bedroom apartment. It was spacious, but it was nothing special, especially for the area that it was in. Here, you can definitely find a one-bedroom for cheaper than that in a nicer area. Now keep in mind, once you start earning Spanish money, they pay you less than you would be paid in America, but once again, typically things, food, necessities, they're cheaper than you would find them in the States. There isn't any one particular thing that I've noticed here that is more expensive than in America. Nothing I've noticed. To eat out, you could, for a good meal, you might drop, let's say, $11, $12 US. And here they do a special thing that's called Menú del Día, menu of the day. So a lot of restaurants might not have everything on the menu every day, especially if they're hot meals. Sometimes you find things that are only served on certain days. But if you find a good Menú del Día, they'll charge you the $11 or $12, and it comes with first course, which is something light. Then you get your main plate, and it normally comes with a drink and or dessert and or coffee. If you find a really good place, especially like in the north of Spain, somewhere like Asturias, you can get a Menú del Día for 10 euros, like I said, about $11 or $12, and that'll come with 3 courses. In the north, especially Asturias, they're known for eating well. Se come bien. Spanish beaches. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beaches. Even the beaches that Spanish people don't like, compared to Ocean Shitty, Maryland, it looks like paradise. Some of the most beautiful beaches that I've seen, you'll find in Islas Baleares, Balearic Islands. I lived in Mallorca for, we'll say about a year and a half. And they're gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous beaches. Very clean, white sand, and clear water. The thing is, for Balearic Islands, it's quite an expensive place because it's a high-end tourist destination. So the prices are a bit higher than what you'd find in the peninsula. And when I say beaches that even Spanish people don't like, for example, there are beaches in a region in the south of Spain, the southeast, called Murcia. Murcia, to me, has some nice beaches. Spanish people don't like it because they say that there are many jellyfish in the water, which is true. The jellyfish do flock to this portion of Spain in certain periods of the year. But if you're not going to go too far out in the water, if you just want to wet your feet or you just want to sit on the beach and enjoy a beer, it's great and it's inexpensive. Another pro for me, the women. To me, the women in Spain are some of the most attractive women I've seen in my life. And I think they are the most attractive European women. I remember when I first got here, and it was my first month. I think my jaw stayed on the floor. Just, you're going through the metro, you're going to the supermarket, you're just walking down the street, and it's just like, wow, it's just baddies everywhere. 10, 9, 8.5, 10, 12. I mean, these girls, they're bad. They're bad. I don't know exactly what's in the water. I suppose it's just the interesting mix that gives Spanish people or Spanish women beautiful facial features. Spanish women, by and large, also take very good care of themselves physically. They go to the gym, they eat well, they exercise, they like to remain active. And they're curvy. They're curvy. You know, growing up, I remember we always had the stereotype that, you know, white girls have flat butts. White girls don't have ass. Well, come to Spain. You'll see that's just not true. In nearly every corner of Spain, and in Madrid in particular, you find Las Dominicanas. The Dominican girls and the Venezuelan girls are some of the baddest black girls I have seen, and especially in this country. I had the pleasure of going to the Dominican Republic and staying there for 6 months, so I see exactly They're the same girls that you see standing in the metro in Usera or wherever you are in the city, and you're like, wow, like, look at her. And when I first got here, I didn't know anything about Dominican women or Afro Latinas. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't have much exposure to them in Baltimore. So when I came here and I would see these bad black girls just around, I'm like, where are these girls coming from? Dominican, Venezuelan, maybe even Colombian. Beautiful girls here, I will say that. I also want to talk about safety. For me, Spain is the safest place I've ever lived in my life. Once again, coming from Baltimore, well, I guess there are many places that are much higher on the list than Baltimore in terms of safety. But here in Spain, I'm not worried about anything. And to be quite honest, right now where I live, it's considered the hood. It's considered the hood, and I don't feel unsafe at all here. Spanish crime, at least for a man, usually won't take a violent form. Typically, Spanish crime will look like something of yours has suddenly grown legs. So you go to a cafe and you sit your laptop bag behind you, and when you turn around, it's gone. Somebody has walked off with it. You let somebody get a little too close to you in the busy metro, and when you get to wherever you need to get to, your phone is gone or your wallet is gone. Somebody has pickpocketed you. That's normally how Spanish crime goes down. It's normally theft. Now, I have heard from Spanish people that they have been mugged with knives, or even in one case, a teacher I used to work with told me that she was robbed by a drug addict that had a needle, and he said that if she didn't hand over her purse, he was going to stick her with it, and she would likely get AIDS. Whether it was really AIDS infected, I don't know, but of course she handed it over. But these are very rare. I've never really heard of anything severe. You know, coming from Baltimore, somebody stops you, they rob you, they pull out a gun on you, you give them everything they want, and they still shoot you. That's what it looks like in Baltimore. In Spain, you don't have to worry about that. At the very worst, yeah, maybe somebody pulls out a knife on you. Now that's as a man. That is the perspective from a guy. I'm not a woman. I've never felt like I would be a victim of a sexual crime or anything like that. That doesn't cross my mind. It doesn't mean it can't happen. I do know some fellas that were here, American guys, and they went to Barcelona. And they had a good time partying up in Barcelona. And they were talking to some women at the bar, which they later believed were prostitutes. Had a good night, and one of them wakes up on the beach, alone, no wallet, no keys, no nothing. And he doesn't remember what happened. They suspect that one of the girls slipped something into his drink, and he went off with them, and the other friend thought he was just drunk, didn't realize he had been drugged, and the girls took everything he had, and he doesn't remember. But nobody hurt him physically or anything like that. But I must warn you about Barcelona. Huh? Okay, I have to warn you about Barcelona. I think Barcelona crime is different than Madrid crime. Every American, with the exception of myself, that I know that has been to Barcelona, has been robbed. The example that I gave you of the laptop bag, well, a couple that I know from university, that happened to them. The guy, he worked in IT security. They went to a restaurant. I guess he thought this was America. You know, people don't typically walk off with something like that, you know, in a public place. Here, they will do it. He sat his bag behind his chair, and when he got up to leave, it was gone. Somebody stole his work laptop. Another couple, I know the guy from university. His girlfriend is Colombian, well, now his wife. And they were in Barcelona, and they were on their last day in Barcelona. They were planning to leave the city, but he's a big soccer fan, so they wanted to stop at a bar to catch the end of the game. They parked the car, went into the bar, watched the game, came out, and the windows had been busted on their car. This was a rental car. And the thieves took everything. They took their electronics, took their passports, took their money, took just about anything valuable they had left in the car. Now, we could say this is targeted because the rental car had rental car stickers on it, and the thieves in Barcelona know the tourists roll with stuff. So they broke in there and took everything. The problem was, being an American citizen, thankfully, he could go to the embassy and they could issue him an emergency passport like that. No problem. His girlfriend being Colombian, the Colombian government or the embassy dragged their feet. And they ended up staying in Spain about 2 weeks longer, or 2.5 weeks longer than they had planned. That could have gotten very expensive. Thankfully, his family is Spanish. Though he is American, his roots are Spanish. So he was able to stay in his grandparents' house, and they stayed the 2 weeks there. They didn't have to pay for a hotel. When I went to Barcelona, I didn't get robbed. Nothing happened to me. But there was an element. You could feel it. And I mean, you want to see it? Get on the metro. Get on the metro late at night in Barcelona, and you'll see the junkies and the sketchy looking people. Like I said, coming from Baltimore, I didn't feel too afraid, but you know, when you're in a place like that, rule number one is just mind your business. That has been the rule that has kept me safe forever. I've never been robbed in my life. I've never had a gun in my face. No one's ever done anything to me, but I stick with that rule. I mind my business. If I see two people arguing, I'm not looking too hard. I'm not looking down their throats. I'm not interested in knowing what they're arguing about. I hear it and I keep it moving. Somebody stops to ask me for something. I'm sorry, I don't have it. Keep it moving. There's no way in hell I'm about to pull out my wallet right here on the street for you. But all in all, Spain, I think, is a very safe country. Very safe. Spain has a very laid-back lifestyle. Now, I can touch on this also in the cons video because Spain's laid-back lifestyle is a double-edged sword. Among the Americans and other expats here, we always like to say, Spain is fun until you need to get something done. But I'll touch on that in another video. The laid-back lifestyle is one thing that I like and I love because when I was in America, I always felt very stressed out. It's a very fast-paced lifestyle. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. Here, it's not so much like that. And even Spanish people will tell you Madrid has a very fast-paced lifestyle for them. But from someone coming from America, no, it's very chill. Supervisors I've had, if you're running late, if you let them know, hey, I'm going to be a few minutes late, I've never had anyone get upset about it. They're always very, oh, I understand, no problem. For example, it's not unusual here for people working in a Spanish business to say, oh, it's 10:30, let's go to the cafe and have a coffee. And they dip off. They go have a coffee, and they come back 15, 20 minutes later, and it's no problem. Now, I'm not going to say that's true of every job in Spain. That's not true, but you find a very lax culture. In Spain, in America, go ahead and try that. Go ahead and tell your boss I'm going to leave out for a coffee. I'll be back in a few. Okay, go ahead and log out for me. You're probably going to get fired. That doesn't work that way. Here, very chill. Very chill. You'll find that places outside of the capital, as I mentioned, have a very slow lifestyle. You go to Extremadura, or you go to anywhere in the south, Murcia. The lifestyle is very relaxed, very chill. People might not always open their businesses on time. You know, if the store says it's opening at 4 o'clock, don't be there at 4 o'clock because you'll be waiting. You'll probably be getting there at the same time the owner gets there, opening up the place. Go ahead and show up at 4:30. Then they'll be ready for you to come in and shop. It's really laid back. It's chill. As I said, sometimes that can be it can irk you when you need to get something done. But if you just learn to just breathe and accept it, which has been a challenge for me, it has been a challenge, you'll enjoy it. All right, so here's a topic that for me, I'm going to put in the pro category. If you look up any video with the keywords black and Spain on YouTube, I would say probably 8 out of 10 videos, somewhere in that title, somewhere on the thumbnail of the video, you will see the word racism. You find a lot of black people that have had their issues, their racist situations in Spain. I'm not going to discount their experiences. All I can say is that I don't exactly share a lot of the experiences that I've seen and I've heard. No. For me, Spain's racism, at least to me as a black man, a black American man, is mild. It's mild. In the sense that, I've never been afraid to walk down the street holding hands with a white girl. I've never felt like a group of white men are going to beat me up or spit on me or say anything. The worst that you might get in some little small town, some little small Spanish village, people will stare. But no one is going to come up to you and say anything. It's not like that. No one's going to beat you up. It's not like that. Usually for me, until I speak, I'm mistaken for many different things. I've been mistaken for Dominican, I've been mistaken for Cuban, Brazilian, even Moroccan. When I speak, then people are like, oh, well, he's not one of those. Are you British? Are you American? Here they have an attitude towards, it's almost like there are good immigrants and there are bad immigrants. And I find that usually Dominicans and other Afro-Latinos, they get the short end of the stick. They're not, son un poco mal vistos, that they look down upon them a bit. That is true. And it's something I like to call the blue passport magic, that as soon as I clarify, no, I'm American, it's suddenly, whoop, everything changes. Oh, immediately they want to talk about politics. They want to talk, at that time, they want to talk about Trump. They want to talk about Joe Biden. They want to talk about all these different things. It's like, you're one of the civilized black ones. Okay, I see. So the treatment for me has been different. And I remember, it was very odd. When I first got to Spain, when I first arrived, I was in Barajas, the airport in Madrid, and I was going to collect my luggage and leave the airport. And I noticed that there were 2 police officers that were watching me. I didn't think anything of it. Of course, I'm a black man. I mean, it's not the first time the police have had their eyes on me for whatever reason. But I know I don't have anything. I'm not doing anything illegal. So I make my way towards the exit, and one of them calls me over. I'm thinking, okay, shit, what do they want, man? Like, I just got here. What do you want with me already? I walk over. My Spanish was not very good at that time. They asked me very basic questions that I can understand. And one of them was, where are you from? Can we see your passport? Showed them the blue passport. Opened it up, glanced at it, gave it back. Okay, goodbye. It was kind of like, oh, but you stopped me, obviously, because I'm the only black face here, right? But as soon as I show that American passport, everything's good. It's all good. And to this day, I've wondered, like, what if I did have a Dominican passport? What if I was Moroccan? Would they have said, hey, come with us for a second over here in this office? I don't know. I do know that the Dominicans that I've met, the Dominican men in particular here in Spain, have mentioned that they've been stopped by the police many times asking for their papers under the assumption that they're in the country illegally. I will admit, and I can say this for another video, I spent almost a year in Spain illegal. Never once was I ever stopped. The police never stopped me, never asked me for my papers or anything. Maybe it's just, that's a blessing by the grace of God, but never had a problem. Beyond that day in Barajas, since then, the police have never even uttered a word to me. And that's one thing that I like as a black man. I will say in this country, even if the police stop you, you are not going to end up dead. You will not end up dead. You may feel like you were stopped and you were profiled. That can be true. But you don't have to worry about some crazy white cop pulling out his gun and shooting you down for nothing. That doesn't happen here. And I will say the response of most Spanish people when they see our news and they see black people getting gunned down for nothing, they don't respond very well to it. They look at America and they say, wow, y'all are crazy. And many Spanish people have expressed fear about coming to America because of the shootings. We can talk about that on another video, though. So yes, profiling, you may be profiled. That's possible. I came back from a trip to Morocco. Everybody's getting off the plane, and there's a cop there watching everyone get off, and he doesn't stop anyone. As soon as I pass in front of him, you, come here, open your backpack, let me see. Why? Because I have a brown face, and I'm coming from Morocco, so I must have hashish in my bag, right? Because I'd be that stupid. That's one side of it. The other side was I remember working my first year in the Spanish public school. And one way that many people earn money, extra money in this program, is by doing private classes. So one way that a lot of people in the program, auxiliares, earn extra money is they do private classes outside of school. So the first couple weeks of school, there will be parents that will stand outside of school looking for you, or they will give their information to the teachers to give to you to contact them about tutoring classes for their kid in English. So one of the things that surprised me was that these parents don't know me at all. They don't know me at all. And suddenly they approach me. Oh, you're American. Oh, okay. Can you would you be available to give classes to my daughter on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30? Okay, sure. So I follow them home. They put me in this little girl's bedroom, and the mom asked me, "Do you want a beer?" And I'm like, "No." She closes the door and walks off, and I'm thinking, what in the hell? I can imagine ever, as a black American man, where I'm invited to enter in this little white girl's bedroom, and you don't know me at all, and you offer me alcohol? For me, the whole situation was baffling, but I just found like, wow, these people are like really trusting. And it made me realize, you know what, maybe I just come from a really messed up country. That it doesn't even enter their minds that I would do something evil to their daughter. I mean, as an American, that'd be the first thing that comes to my mind. Who is this guy? And beyond the difference in skin color or anything like that, it's, I don't know this man. I'm not going to leave him alone with my daughter. No. Very trusting, obviously, but I felt uncomfortable with the situation. I remember telling the mom after maybe the second or third time, you know, how about we do classes in the living room? Because I just didn't want anybody to ever say that Jordan did anything. So, got to cover your butt. But I never had any problems with that. Now, I have seen Spanish racism, but racism directed at me as a black male, a black American male, as I said, it's been very mild. For example, I feel like the group that has it the toughest here in Spain are the Spanish gypsies, los gitanos. For me, I see some similarities between black Americans and gypsies here and how they are received by the greater society. I remember there was a Spanish man that was telling me that his family owned a store in the center of Madrid some years ago. And when he was a boy, they didn't allow gypsies to enter the store because there's the assumption that they only come in to steal, that they don't come in to actually buy anything. You hear a lot of Spanish people joke or say that gypsies don't hold jobs. The only things that they do are crimes to earn money. And it really resonated with me because I felt like as a black American, wow, these are some of the same things that people have said about my people. That we're ne'er-do-wells, that we're lazy, that we only are interested in criminality. And, back in the past, yeah, they didn't let us enter their stores. Nowadays they have to, but maybe they follow you. And I see some parallels. The same thing that, Spanish people love flamenco music. They like the way that some of these gypsy guys dress, and they imitate these things, especially the younger Spanish guys. But it's like, oh, we like your culture, we like your music, we like the way you dress, we like the way you look with your tan skin, but we don't like you. And that resonated with me as a black American too, They love our culture, they love our music, but they don't like us. Now, there are some other differences that can be argued that are certainly cultural. Right now, where I live is a majority gypsy neighborhood. And as I said, most people look at this as the hood. They look at it as a bad area. Do I see some of the things that they complain about? Sure. I've seen arguments in public. They always say gypsies are very loud and disruptive people. I've seen drug deals. I've seen these things. But at the same time, I don't feel unsafe. No one here looks at me as a threat. I walk outside, all the little gypsy kids know me. They ask me for popsicles and things like that. All in all, as a black man here, you're perfectly safe. It's possible you might be profiled, but that's nothing new for you. But it won't end up in you being murdered on the street and people saying you deserved it. Not at all. I remember a few years back that the police caught a lot of shit from the death of an African guy. There are, here in Madrid in particular, and you can see them in Barcelona too, there are many African immigrants. Many of them are from Senegal, not all of them, but many. And they sell counterfeit things on the street. So they sell fake Nikes, fake jerseys, and things like that. And if you stay in Madrid long enough, you'll see these guys run from the cops. It's quite a normal thing. They have a little mat on the ground, and when the police come, they pull it up, and you see them running down the street. I've made a video about this, so if you want to check my channel, these are the top manta guys. They're interesting. But the police were pursuing one of these guys because it is illegal to sell these things on the street. Some cops will turn a blind eye to it, but usually they'll approach the guys and tell them they have to go, or they'll give them a fine. So the cops ended up chasing one of these guys, and the guy had a heart attack, and he died. And a lot of Madrid was in an uproar about this, and they blamed the police. They said that the police caused his death by pursuing him. That's probably as bad as it's going to get. They didn't kill him. The guy had a heart attack. They didn't suffocate him. They didn't choke him out. He was running too hard and he died. That's probably as bad as it's going to get. And people were still angry about that, which I think is a good thing. That you can see the greater society is not going to tolerate police brutality against people of color or against anyone in this country. And I really respect that for Spain. I really respect that about Spain. One thing that I hope that will change about Spain in this respect is that children of color that are born in Spain and raised in Spain are hardly ever seen as Spanish. So many times I've taught children that are of Chinese descent. Their parents came from China, but the kid has been born and raised in Spain. The kid has never been to China, only knows Spanish culture and Spanish thing. The kid speaks perfectly perfect Spanish without an accent. And for the rest of that kid's life, he will be known as un chino. And I say, how is this kid, how can you continue to call this kid Chinese? He is Asian, but he is Spanish. He's just as Spanish as you are. He doesn't know anything about China beyond what his parents and family have told him. He's never been there. He's Spanish. Same thing with the African kids that are born and raised here, or any of them. It's very difficult for Spanish people to consider them Spanish versus maybe the kid whose parents come from Germany and move here, and this kid grows up in Spain, but this kid is white. So even though this kid comes from German parents, because of the white skin, their nationality is never doubted. I wish that would change. But I guess, as an American, if you're born in America, you are an American, no matter what your color is. One of the biggest things I was worried about when I came here was, can I get stuff that I can normally get in America? The answer is yes and no. You won't find Walmart here. Big box stores are not that common. Not yet. But Spain continues to take little things from America, so maybe in the next 10 to 15 years, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see Walmart or something very similar to it pop up here. For things that you can't find in a normal store, Amazon. Amazon all day. I'm not a huge fan of Jeff Bezos, but it's pretty convenient. Because there are no big box stores, or really there are a few, but they're not very frequent, they're not easy to find, you end up going to 3 or 4 different places, whereas in America you would just go to this one. So to save time and effort, just Amazon it. Just Amazon it. And I'm not saying Amazon.com. No. We're going to use Amazon Spain. Amazon.es. Also, if you can't find something in Amazon ES or it's too expensive, there are other Amazon stores. You can go to amazon.co.uk. You can go to amazon.fr, France, amazon.de, Germany, amazon.it, Italy. And sometimes I shop around. I remember a few years ago I was looking for a laptop. And what I was seeing in Spain was too expensive. I didn't like the prices. So I searched around in the other Amazon European stores and I got one from Amazon UK, much cheaper. Now, finding ingredients, you want to make a pot of collard greens, maybe that might be a little more challenging, and I'll touch on that in the cons video. Spain is clean. Spain is clean. Of course, as with anywhere, you can find places that are not the cleanest. But compared to the other countries that I've been to and compared to where I've been in America, it is a fairly clean country in the sense that people do litter. They do, but they're very, very good with recycling. They have people that clean up the streets every day, and they come and wash and clean the streets every night, especially in Madrid city center. They pick up the trash. Everybody sits their trash out on the street, and it is collected every night. So you won't see huge piles of trash that have been there for a week. You won't see it. For me, I need this peace of mind. I need this. When I was living in the Dominican Republic, this was one of the things that really got under my skin, was just seeing large heaps of trash just everywhere. It made me feel anxious. If you feel anxious about that, then Spain. The last thing I'd like to touch on as a pro is Spain's proximity to other countries. If you're looking to travel, now I know with COVID-19 things have been a little limited, but pre-pandemic it was easy to get around Europe and North Africa. Because Spain is so close to everywhere, the flights to go to other places, if you really watch and you keep an eye on deals, you can get some nice prices. I remember I flew to Morocco round trip for 34 euros. In dollars, that probably shakes out to about $40. Round trip, there and back, $40 to another country. Yeah, think about that. If you want to take a plane from Baltimore to New York, It's going to cost you way more than $40 just to go to another state. I can go to another country for that. So the proximity is great, and the flights are normally not very long. For example, to Morocco, I think I landed in Tangier, and that was, I want to say about 2 hours. About 2 hours. It wasn't a very long flight at all. To London, the London flight, I think that was, if I remember, about 3 hours. They're not very long flights. Not long, and they're fairly inexpensive, unless you're trying to fly on a holiday. So Spain's a great place for the person that wants to travel and see Europe and Africa. And if you really have the bread, if you want to cross the Mediterranean to go to the Middle East, I doubt the prices would be anywhere comparable to what you would pay flying from America. Well, I hope I've informed some of you about my experience as a Black American man in Spain and some of the things that I really like and enjoy about this country. Like I said, I think a lot of people like to beat up on Spain. Maybe it's an easy target. I'm not going to defend the indefensible. It has its problems, just like any country. But if I had to choose Spain or America, I'm going to keep my black butt here. I tell you that. If you have any questions, any comments or anything, put them there. I'll try to respond to you as best as I can. Thanks.